Hey Libra, I just pulled cards for you, and honestly, this reading feels really significant. I've been doing tarot for a while now, and sometimes certain spreads just have this weight to them, you know? This is one of those readings. Let me share what came through for you about this spiritual and mystical connection you're moving toward. So I shuffled the deck with your energy in mind, specifically thinking about these deeper soul connections and that intuitive knowing you've been experiencing. The cards that appeared tell such an interesting story about what's unfolding in your spiritual journey right now. The first card that came forward is the Two of Swords. And when I saw this, I immediately felt this sense of someone standing at a crossroads. This card shows up when you're dealing with a decision that requires you to trust something beyond just logic. You know how sometimes you can feel two different energies pulling at you, and neither one seems obviously right or wrong? That's exactly what this card is pointing to. With the Two of Swords here, I'm seeing that you've been blocking out certain intuitive messages because they don't make rational sense. There's this part of you that wants everything to line up logically before you move forward, but Spirit is asking you to trust what you feel in your body, in your heart, even when your mind is saying to wait for more proof. What's really interesting about the Two of Swords in this position is that it suggests you already know the answer to something you've been questioning. You're just afraid to acknowledge it because it might mean big changes are coming. I'm getting the sense that this could be related to a connection with someone, or maybe it's about a spiritual path you've been considering but haven't fully committed to yet. The blindfold in this card isn't about ignorance. It's about being willing to see with different eyes. Your third eye, your intuition, your gut feeling, these are all trying to communicate something important to you right now. The Two of Swords is encouraging you to remove that blindfold you've placed on your own inner vision. Stop trying to think your way through something that needs to be felt and sensed instead. I'm also picking up that this card might relate to a situation where you've been trying to keep the peace or stay neutral, but that neutrality is actually keeping you stuck. Sometimes we think we're being balanced when really we're just avoiding a choice that our soul knows we need to make. The water behind the figure in this card represents emotions and intuition, and those waters are still right now, waiting for you to make a move. Once you trust that inner knowing and take action, everything will start flowing again. The second card that appeared is the Six of Cups, and this one brought such a sweet, nostalgic energy to the reading. When the Six of Cups shows up, especially in a reading about spiritual and mystical connections, it often points to a soul recognition moment that's coming. Have you ever met someone and felt like you've known them forever, even though you just met? That's the energy of this card. I'm seeing that you're going to encounter someone, or maybe you already have, who feels incredibly familiar to your soul. This isn't just about romantic connection, though it could be. This is about recognizing another soul that you've shared experiences with before, whether that's in this lifetime or beyond. What I find really beautiful about the Six of Cups here is that it suggests this connection will bring a sense of innocence and joy back into your life. Sometimes we get so caught up in the heaviness of adult responsibilities and past disappointments that we forget how to approach relationships with openness and wonder. This card is telling you that this soul connection is going to help you remember what it feels like to be genuinely happy in someone's presence, without all the walls and guards we usually keep up. There's something very healing about the energy this person brings, something that helps you access parts of yourself you might have forgotten about or tucked away. I'm also getting that this connection might involve someone from your past making a reappearance, or it could be someone new who reminds you of a simpler, happier time in your life. The Six of Cups often shows up when we're ready to integrate lessons from our past into our present understanding. Maybe there's unfinished business with someone that needs to be resolved, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that brings closure and peace. Or perhaps you're being guided to reconnect with activities, interests, or people that once brought you joy but you've drifted away from. This card is asking you to honor your history and the experiences that shaped you, because they're relevant to where you're heading now. The spiritual message of the Six of Cups is really about divine timing and the way souls circle back to each other when the moment is right. If you've been feeling nostalgic lately, or if certain people or memories keep coming to mind, pay attention to that. Your guides might be preparing you for a reunion of some kind, whether that's with a person, a place, or a version of yourself that you thought you'd lost. Now, the third card that came through is the Seven of Pentacles, and this completely shifts the energy of the reading in such a necessary way. The Seven of Pentacles is all about patience and assessment. When I see this card, I think about a gardener standing in their field, looking at what they've planted and wondering when the harvest will come. You've been putting in work, Libra, whether that's spiritual work, emotional healing, relationship building, or personal development. You've been showing up and doing the things you're supposed to do. And now you're in this phase where you're looking around thinking, okay, but where are my results? When do I get to see the fruits of all this effort? The Seven of Pentacles is telling you that everything you've been cultivating is growing, but it's happening beneath the surface right now. You can't see the roots getting stronger underground, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. This card asks for trust in the process and patience with timing. I know that's not what anyone wants to hear, especially when you've been working hard and feel ready for things to materialize. But there's wisdom in this waiting period. The Seven of Pentacles suggests that you're being asked to evaluate whether you're investing your energy in the right places. Are you nurturing connections and pursuits that actually align with your authentic self? Or are you maintaining things out of habit or obligation? What's coming through strongly with this card is that you might need to do some pruning. In gardening, you have to cut away certain branches or plants so that the ones you really want can flourish. The same might be true in your life right now. Maybe there are relationships that aren't serving your highest good, or maybe there are beliefs and patterns you're holding on to that need to be released. The Seven of Pentacles encourages you to be honest with yourself about what's worth continuing to invest in and what needs to be let go. This isn't about giving up, it's about redirecting your resources toward what will actually bear fruit for you. I'm also sensing with this card that you might be comparing your timeline to other people's, and that's causing some frustration. Try to remember that everyone's garden grows at a different pace. What looks like overnight success for someone else probably involved years of unseen work. Your harvest is coming, but it's on its own schedule, and forcing it will only damage what's growing. The Seven of Pentacles asks you to trust that your efforts haven't been wasted, even if you can't see tangible results yet. The fourth card is the Four of Pentacles, and I have to be honest, when this one appeared, I felt a little resistance in the energy. The Four of Pentacles often points to holding on too tightly to something, whether that's money, security, control, or even a specific outcome you're attached to. In the context of this spiritual reading, I'm seeing that you might be gripping onto certainty in a way that's actually blocking the mystical experiences and connections you're seeking. There's a difference between being grounded and being rigid. And right now, this card suggests you might be leaning more toward rigidity. What I find interesting about the Four of Pentacles showing up here is that it can indicate a fear of loss or change. You might be holding on to current circumstances even if they're not ideal, because at least they're familiar. The unknown is scary, especially when it comes to deep spiritual connections and opening yourself up to experiences that don't fit into neat, logical categories. But the Four of Pentacles is warning you that this self-protective stance is creating a barrier between you and the very things you're hoping to attract. You can't receive new blessings when your hands are too full, gripping onto what you already have. I'm getting the sense that this card might also relate to emotional guardedness. Have you been holding back from fully showing up in your connections because you're afraid of getting hurt or disappointed? The Four of Pentacles suggests there's a wall around your heart right now. And while that wall might feel like protection, it's also isolation. True spiritual and soul connections require vulnerability. They require you to risk being seen, to risk not having all the answers, to risk losing control of the narrative. This card is gently pushing you to examine where you might be playing it too safe. Another layer of the Four of Pentacles is about scarcity mindset. Are you operating from a belief that there's not enough love, connection, opportunity, or magic to go around? That kind of thinking creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you miss out on abundance because you're so focused on protecting the little bit you think you have. The universe is asking you to loosen your grip and trust that you're supported. When you do that, space opens up for new and better things to flow into your life. This doesn't mean being reckless or naive. It means being willing to take calculated risks and trust in something larger than your own limited perspective. The fifth card that appeared is the Nine of Wands, and this one really speaks to where you are right now on your journey. The Nine of Wands shows someone who has been through battles and challenges, someone who's still standing, but definitely feeling worn down. When I look at this card in your reading, I see someone who has fought hard to get where they are, and now you're in this place of being almost there, but not quite. You can see the finish line, but you're exhausted and wondering if you have what it takes to keep going. Here's what the Nine of Wands wants you to know. You're so much stronger than you realize, and you're closer to breakthrough than you think. This card often appears right before a major shift or accomplishment because it represents that final push that's required. Yes, you've been through a lot. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you have battle scars from previous disappointments or challenges. But those experiences have given you wisdom and resilience that you're going to need for what's coming next. The Nine of Wands says, don't give up now, not when you've come this far. What I'm picking up with this card is that you might be feeling defensive or cautious about opening yourself up to new spiritual experiences or connections. Past hurts have taught you to be careful, to keep your guard up, to protect yourself from potential pain. That's understandable, but the Nine of Wands is asking you to find a balance between healthy boundaries and closing yourself off completely. You don't have to lower all your walls, but maybe you can create a gate, a way for the right people and experiences to enter while still maintaining your sense of safety. There's also a message here about perseverance paying off. All those times you kept going when you wanted to quit, all those moments when you chose growth even though it was uncomfortable, all that internal work you've been doing, it's building towards something significant. The Nine of Wands confirms that your efforts haven't been in vain. You're developing the spiritual and emotional muscles you're going to need for the connections and experiences that are heading your way. This card is basically saying, stay the course, maintain your practices, keep showing up for yourself, because you're in the final stretch before things start to really shift. I'm also sensing that the Nine of Wands is encouraging you to learn from your past without letting it define your future. Yes, you've been disappointed before. Yes, you've encountered people or situations that weren't what they seemed, but that doesn't mean every new connection will follow the same pattern. Use your past experiences as information to make wiser choices, but don't let them turn you into someone who's so defended that nothing can reach you. There's a difference between wisdom and cynicism, and the Nine of Wands is asking you to stay on the wisdom side of that line. The final card in your reading is the Ten of Wands. And honestly, this one feels heavy, but also incredibly important. The Ten of Wands shows someone carrying a huge burden, struggling under the weight of too many responsibilities or expectations. When I see this card, especially as the closing energy of a reading about spiritual connections, I immediately think about how we sometimes carry weight that isn't even ours to carry. You've been shouldering a lot, Libra, and this card is asking you to examine what you're holding on to and why. The Ten of Wands suggests that you might be approaching your spiritual journey and relationships with a sense of obligation or burden rather than joy and lightness. Maybe you feel like you have to be perfect or have everything figured out before you can truly connect with others. Maybe you're carrying other people's expectations about who you should be or what your path should look like. Maybe you're holding on to past pain or resentment that's weighing you down. Whatever it is, the Ten of Wands is saying that you don't have to carry all of this by yourself. And actually, some of it doesn't need to be carried at all. What's coming through really clearly with this card is a need for delegation and release. Where in your life can you ask for help? Where can you set things down? What responsibilities can you share with others instead of trying to manage everything alone? The spiritual message here is that isolation under the guise of strength is still isolation. Real strength sometimes looks like admitting you can't do it all and allowing others to support you. When you're open to receiving help and sharing burdens, you create opportunities for the kinds of deep, authentic connections you're seeking. I'm also getting that the Ten of Wands might be pointing to outdated commitments or patterns that you've outgrown but are still maintaining. Sometimes we keep doing things because we've always done them, not because they still serve us. This card is asking you to evaluate your current obligations and see if any of them need to be renegotiated or released. Creating space in your life, both literally and energetically, is essential for allowing new mystical experiences and soul connections to enter. You can't welcome something new when you're already overwhelmed and maxed out. The Ten of Wands, as the final card, also suggests that you're approaching a point where you'll either need to set some things down or risk burnout. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up to the reality that the way you've been operating isn't sustainable. The beautiful thing about this card appearing now is that it's giving you a heads up, a chance to make changes before you hit a wall. Start looking at where you can lighten your load, where you can simplify, where you can say no to things that don't align with your highest path. When you do that, you'll find that the connections and experiences you truly desire have room to unfold naturally. So Libra, looking at these 6 cards together, there's such a clear story being told about where you are and where you're heading. The Two of Swords is asking you to trust your intuition over your logic right now. The Six of Cups promises a soul recognition moment that will feel both familiar and healing. The Seven of Pentacles reminds you that your efforts are growing even when you can't see immediate results, and asks you to be patient with divine timing. The Four of Pentacles warns against holding on too tightly to control or certainty at the expense of openness to new experiences. The Nine of Wands acknowledges how far you've come and encourages you to keep going despite weariness. And the Ten of Wands reveals that you're carrying too much and need to release some burdens to make space for what's truly meant for you. This reading feels like it's preparing you for something significant. There's a soul connection coming, or maybe deepening, but you have some internal work to do first. You need to trust yourself more, open your heart despite past hurts, release control, and lighten your load. When you do these things, the mystical experiences and connections you're seeking will be able to reach you. The universe is supporting you in this journey, but you have to do your part by creating the internal conditions that allow magic to happen. I hope this reading resonated with you. Sometimes the cards show us things we already know on some level, but haven't fully acknowledged yet. Trust what you're feeling right now as you read this. Your intuition is your greatest guide through all of this.